Did you know that one of Hollywood's most famous movie kisses almost never happened? The film To Have and Have Not changed cinema forever, but nobody expected it to work. Back in 1944, a young actress named Lauren Bacall walked onto a set with a script that would make her a star. She was only 19 years old. The director, Howard Hawks, wanted to create something magical, a love story that felt dangerous and real. What happened next became one of the greatest film mysteries of all time. But here's the thing that nobody tells you. Almost everything that made this movie special was accidental. The magic happened in ways nobody planned. Let's dive in and discover 20 weird and amazing facts about To Have and Have Not. Fact number 20. Lauren Bacall's voice was completely fake. You probably heard Lauren Bacall's low, sultry voice in the film. It sounds so natural, so perfect, like that's just how she talks. But here's the secret. It was completely made up. Her real voice was higher and more ordinary. The director, Howard Hawks, heard her voice in rehearsal and said, No, that won't work. He told her to drop her voice down, make it deeper, make it mysterious. So she did something strange. She tucked her chin down and pulled her voice from deep in her throat. She practiced this new voice over and over until it became her signature. The funny thing is, this fake voice actually changed her whole career. Every producer in Hollywood started asking for that mysterious voice. Bacall had to keep doing it forever, even in her real life at parties and dinners. What started as a director's crazy idea became the voice that made her legendary. She didn't realize it in the moment, but she was inventing herself on the spot, creating a new person just by changing how she sounded. Sometimes the best magic happens when someone tells you to do something different, something strange, something nobody has tried before. Fact number 19. Humphrey Bogart wasn't sure about the young actress. Humphrey Bogart was already a huge star when they started filming. He had been in dozens of movies. He was confident, he was experienced, and he was a little nervous about working with a complete beginner. When he first met Lauren Bacall, he thought she was too young, too inexperienced, too unknown. He worried that she would mess up the scenes. He worried that the audience wouldn't believe their romance together. But something happened on the first day of filming that changed his mind. When they did their first scene together, something just clicked. It was like electricity between them. Bogart saw that Bacall wasn't just reading lines, she was really acting. She understood the character. She understood the emotion. From that moment on, Bogart believed in her. He started helping her on set. He gave her advice. He made her feel safe and confident. By the end of filming, Bogart actually thought Bacall was brilliant. He told other people she was going to be a major star. He was right. What started as doubt turned into respect, and that respect actually made their scenes together more powerful and more honest. Sometimes the best partnerships start with a little bit of doubt. Fact number 18. The famous whistle scene was improvised. There's a scene in the movie where Lauren Bacall's character teaches Humphrey Bogart's character how to whistle. It's cute. It's flirty, it's unforgettable. Everyone thinks it was carefully planned and rehearsed. Everyone thinks it was written in the original script. But that's not what happened at all. The director Howard Hawks saw Bacall one day, and she was whistling while she walked. Hawks thought, That's perfect, that's mysterious, that's exactly what we need. So he told the screenwriter to add a whistling scene. They wrote it in just a few hours. Then they filmed it with barely any rehearsal. Bacall was nervous because she hadn't done it before. Bogart had to keep a straight face while she was teaching him. It was awkward at first, but that awkwardness actually made it better. The scene feels real because it basically was real. Two actors figuring it out together in front of the camera. This little improvised moment became one of the most famous scenes in Hollywood history. People remember the whistle. People remember the flirtation. People remember the way they looked at each other. But they don't know it was basically invented on the spot. Sometimes the best moments in movies aren't planned, they just happen when you're brave enough to try something new. Fact number 17. The setting was supposed to be Cuba, but it wasn't. When you watch To Have and Have Not, it feels like you're in tropical Cuba. The scenery looks like the Caribbean. The sky looks perfect. The location feels exotic and distant. But here's the truth. They didn't go to Cuba at all. The whole movie was filmed in California, in studios, with fake backdrops. The director wanted to film in Cuba, but it was too complicated. So instead, the crew built fake backgrounds on the movie set. They painted the sky. They built fake boats. They created the whole world inside a soundstage. What's amazing is how real it looks. The audience believed it was Cuba because the filmmakers worked so hard to make the fake world believable. They paid attention to every detail, the light, the colors, the way the water moved. They used real Cuban music. They had actors speak in ways that sounded authentic. And somehow, it all worked. You watch the movie and you believe you're in a faraway place, even though it was all happening just outside Los Angeles. This taught Hollywood an important lesson. You don't need a real location to tell a real story. You need imagination, creativity, and people who care about the details. Sometimes the best adventures happen in your own backyard when you're willing to pretend hard enough. Fact number 16. Hemingway's original book was pretty different. The movie is based on a novel by Ernest Hemingway. But the book and the film are not the same story at all. Hemingway's book was darker and more serious. It had different characters and different plot points. Howard Hawks, the director, basically took the title and the main idea, but he created an almost completely new story. He did this because he thought the book wasn't exciting enough for a movie. He wanted romance. He wanted danger. He wanted chemistry between two people who shouldn't be together. So he threw out most of Hemingway's plot and started over. Hemingway didn't like this at first. He thought Hawks was ruining his work. But then Hemingway watched the movie and something changed his mind. He realized that Hawks had created something even better than his book. The film had energy that the book didn't have. It had magic. It had that spark between Bogart and Bacall that couldn't exist in a novel. So Hemingway actually admitted that Hawks was right. This is a rare moment in Hollywood history, an author agreeing that the movie version was better than the original book. It shows that sometimes you have to be brave enough to change things, to take an idea and make it your own, to improve on what came before. What looked like betrayal was actually artistic courage. Fact number 15. Lauren Bacall had never been in a major movie before. Before To Have and Have Not, Lauren Bacall was basically nobody. She had done a few small parts in forgotten films. She had posed for photographs. But she had never starred in a real Hollywood movie. She wasn't a trained actress. She didn't go to acting school. She was just a beautiful young woman who Hawks saw in a photograph and decided to make into a star. This should have been a disaster. It should have failed. But instead, it became one of the greatest casting decisions in movie history. Howard Hawks saw something in her that nobody else saw. He saw confidence under the nervousness. He saw intelligence in her eyes. He saw star quality. And he was absolutely right. Bacall wasn't just good in the movie, she was incredible. She held her own with Humphrey Bogart, one of the greatest actors of all time. She made the film better. She made it real. And she did it all without experience, without training, without any reason to believe she could do it. This is proof that talent isn't always about what you've done before. Sometimes it's about who you are underneath, what's inside your spirit, what you're capable of if someone believes in you enough to take a chance. One photograph changed a girl's life forever. Fact number 14. The movie was made during World War II, but it feels timeless. In 1944, America was fighting World War II. Soldiers were overseas. Families were worried. People were scared. But this movie isn't about the war at all. It's about love, adventure, and danger in a tropical place. The director chose to make an escape film, a movie that would let audiences forget their worries for a couple of hours. This was actually a brave decision. Some filmmakers wanted to make war movies. Some wanted to make patriotic movies. But Hawks wanted to make people smile, to make them feel excitement, to transport them somewhere else. He succeeded. The movie became a hit during wartime because people needed it. They needed to escape. They needed to believe that romance and adventure still existed. They needed to see two people risking everything for love. Watching this film today, you don't think about World War II at all. It feels like it could be made today. The emotions are timeless. The love story is timeless. The danger feels real. This shows the power of making stories about human feelings instead of making stories about specific times and places. If you focus on the heart, on what makes people feel alive, your story will last forever. The world changed, but this movie never got old. Fact number 13. They killed off a character just to make room for Bacall. In the original script, there was another female character, but when Hawks decided to make Lauren Bacall the star, they realized the script had too many people. So they made a strange decision. They literally killed off the other female character. They changed the plot so that this woman dies in the story and Bacall's character becomes more important. This seems harsh, but it actually worked perfectly. By removing the competition, Bacall had the whole screen to herself. She became the only female lead. Every scene between her and Bogart felt more intense because nobody else was there. The change made the story tighter and more focused. It also showed how much faith Hawks had in Bacall. He was willing to completely rewrite the movie to put her front and center. He was betting everything on a 19-year-old girl nobody had heard of. That's not how Hollywood usually works. Usually, producers play it safe. Usually, they use established stars. But Hawks was different. He believed in his instinct. And his instinct was right. What could have been a terrible mistake turned into one of cinema's greatest decisions. Sometimes you have to be willing to take out something good to make room for something great. Fact number 12. Bogart actually fell in love with Bacall during filming. This isn't just a rumor or gossip, it's documented fact. Humphrey Bogart fell in love with Lauren Bacall while they were making the movie. He was married to someone else at the time, but he couldn't help himself. Bacall was young, beautiful, and talented. Every day on set, he became more attracted to her. The scenes they did together started feeling less like acting and more like real feelings. You can see it in the film. The chemistry between them isn't fake. It's real attraction between two people. Eventually, after the movie was finished, Bogart and Bacall got together. His marriage ended, and he married Bacall instead. They stayed married until his death. So in a way, the movie wasn't just about a love story, it was the beginning of a real love story. The audiences watching the film saw genuine emotions because those emotions were genuine. This is the kind of thing that can't be faked on camera. Directors can yell action all day, but they can't create real love. It either happens or it doesn't. In this case, it happened. The movie captured two people falling in love in real time. That's why it's so powerful. That's why people still watch it and feel something special. It's not just acting, it's real. Fact number 11. The director almost got fired during production. Howard Hawks was known for being difficult to work with. He was a perfectionist. He wanted every scene to be exactly right. During the filming of To Have and Have Not, he got into arguments with producers and studio executives. They thought he was taking too long. They thought he was wasting money. They were frustrated. At one point, the studio seriously considered firing him and replacing him with someone else. But then something happened. The film crew and the actors all said that Hawks had to stay. They said he was the only one who understood the vision. They said he was the only one who could make the film work. So the studio kept him, and Hawks finished the movie his way. And he was right. The film became a masterpiece. If Hawks had been fired, if someone else had taken over, the movie would have been different. It wouldn't have had the same magic. This shows that sometimes genius looks like stubbornness from the outside. Sometimes the person who is hardest to work with is the person who is creating the best art. Producers wanted to interrupt the process. But the people who actually understood the art, the actors, the crew, they knew to let Hawks do his thing. Trust matters more than comfort sometimes. Fact number 10. The piano bar scene was filmed 17 times. There's a famous scene in the movie where the characters are in a piano bar. It looks effortless. It looks natural. You watch it and think, that must have been easy to film. But the director Howard Hawks made them shoot it 17 different times. 17 times. Each time, he wanted something slightly different. A different expression on a face. A different way of moving. A different feeling in the moment. The actors were exhausted. Bacall was frustrated. Bogart was tired of doing the same scene over and over. But Hawks wouldn't stop. He knew what he wanted, and he wasn't going to settle for anything less. Finally, on take 17, they got it. It was perfect. It had the exact feeling Hawks was looking for. Now when you watch that scene, you're watching the result of 17 attempts to get it right. You're watching obsession. You're watching someone who cared so much about the work that he was willing to drive everyone crazy to achieve perfection. Most audiences don't know this. They think it just happened naturally. But every great moment in film requires this kind of dedication and repetition. Nothing worth watching is easy to make. What looks like magic is usually just hard work repeated over and over until it finally becomes real. Fact number 9. The studio almost cut out Lorne Bacall's best scene. The most famous scene between Bogart and Bacall, where Bacall shows her confidence and skill, almost, didn't make it into the final film. Some studio executives watched the early cut and said, that scene is too bold. Bacall is too confident. The audiences won't like it. Cut it out. But Hawks refused. He fought the studio. He said that scene was the heart of the film. He said audiences would love it. He said cutting it would destroy the movie. The producers were upset, but Hawks stood firm. He wouldn't back down. He didn't remove the scene. And you know what happened? When audiences watched the film, that scene became the most remembered moment in the entire movie. That scene is what made Bacall a star. That scene is what audiences still talk about today. Hawks was right. The studio executives were wrong. This happens over and over in Hollywood. The people who actually understand art, the directors, the creators, often have to fight against the people who only understand money. The executives wanted to play it safe. Hawks wanted to be brave. In the end, bravery won. That scene that almost got cut became immortal. Sometimes you have to believe in your vision even when everyone is telling you it's wrong. Fact number 8. Bogart taught Bacall everything she knew about acting. Lorne Bacall didn't go to acting school. She didn't have a mentor. She had Humphrey Bogart. During filming, Bogart basically became her acting teacher. He would pull her aside between takes and give her advice. He would show her how to stand, how to move, how to deliver a line with more meaning. He would explain the character's emotions and motivations. He would help her understand the scene on a deeper level. Bacall was a fast learner, and she absorbed everything Bogart taught her. He became more than her co-star. He became her teacher, her guide, her protector on set. This kind of mentorship is rare in Hollywood. Usually, established actors don't have time to teach newcomers, but Bogart saw something special in Bacall. So he invested in her. He helped her become great. And later, when they fell in love and got married, their relationship was already built on respect and learning. Bacall said in interviews that Bogart taught her about acting, about confidence, about how to be a professional. She said she wouldn't have become an actress without his help. What started as a working relationship turned into a teaching relationship, then turned into a love relationship. All of it was real. All of it mattered. One actor's generosity shaped an entire career. Fact number 7. The movie made money instantly, even during wartime. Even though it was 1944 and America was fighting World War II to have and have, Not became a huge financial success. People went to see it in theaters. They loved it. They talked about it. Word of mouth spread. More people came to see it. It made more money than almost any film of that year. This was surprising to the studio because they weren't expecting such a big hit from a movie with an unknown actress and a simple love story. But audiences connected with it. They wanted to escape. They wanted to believe in romance and adventure. The film gave them what they needed. It was entertainment at the highest level. The success of the film also confirmed what Hawks believed, that Lauren Bacall was a star. There was no doubt after the box office numbers came in. She had proven herself. She had earned her place in Hollywood. The film's success also meant that both Bogart and Bacall became even more famous. Their stock in Hollywood rose dramatically. They became bigger celebrities. They became people producers wanted to work with. All of this happened because Hawks took a chance on an unknown girl and a bold vision. Sometimes betting on your instinct pays off bigger than you ever imagined. Fact number 6. The dialogue was rewritten every single day. The screenplay for To Have and Have Not wasn't finished before they started filming. They were writing it as they went along. Every night, the screenwriter would go home and write new pages for the next day. Every morning, the actors would read their new dialogue. This is incredibly risky. Usually, films are completely written before filming starts. But Hawks liked working this way because it allowed for flexibility and improvisation. If something wasn't working in a scene, they could change it that night. If an actor had a great idea, they could write it in. If a joke landed better a certain way, they could adjust it. This method forced the actors to stay sharp and flexible. They never knew exactly what they would be saying the next day. They had to be ready for anything. It also meant the dialogue stayed fresh and natural. There was no time to overthink it. The words were being created in real time. This explains why the conversations in the film feel so natural and real. The actors were basically inventing them as they went. The studio bosses hated this approach. They wanted to see the whole script before they started. They wanted control. But Hawks did it his way anyway, and the result was some of the best dialogue in Hollywood history. What seemed like chaos actually created perfection. Fact number 5. The film changed how movies handle romance. Before To Have and Have Not, most romantic scenes in movies were kind of stiff and formal. Two actors would stand near each other, maybe hold hands, and that was considered romantic. But Hawks wanted something different. He wanted to show real attraction, real tension, real desire between two people. In the famous scenes between Bogart and Bacall, there's an intensity that hadn't been shown in American movies before. The way they look at each other, the way they move toward each other, the way the dialogue crackles with electricity. It felt dangerous. It felt like something actual might happen. This changed how other filmmakers made romantic scenes. Suddenly, directors realized they could make romance feel more real, more physical, more intense. They could let the audience feel the actual attraction between actors. They could make love scenes feel like something was genuinely at stake. Directors studied To Have and Have Not to understand how Hawks created this intensity. It became a teaching film for how to film romance. Decades later, filmmakers were still watching this movie to see how to do it right. One film changed the entire language of how cinema handles love and attraction. That's the power of innovation and bravery. Hawks wasn't just making a movie, he was inventing a new way to tell stories on film. Fact number 4. Bacall's career almost didn't happen because of her contract. Lauren Bacall had signed a contract with the studio that basically owned her career. The studio could tell her what movies to make. They could control what roles she played. They could decide what her public image would be. After To Have and Have Not became huge, Bacall wanted to do more movies like it, but the studio wanted something different. They wanted her to do musicals or comedies. She wanted to do dramatic roles. They fought about this. The studio had power because of the contract. Bacall had very little choice. She could either do what the studio wanted or not work at all. This was a common problem in Hollywood back then. Studios basically owned their actors. But Bacall was smart. She refused some roles. She fought back. Eventually, the studio realized that Bacall had become too important to argue with. She had proven herself as a major star. So they let her do the kinds of movies she wanted to do. Her rebellion actually worked. This showed that even when you don't have power, sometimes you can create power by being valuable and difficult. Bacall refused to be controlled. She risked her career to have artistic freedom. And it worked out. If she had just done whatever the studio told her to do, her career might have been very different. Sometimes you have to fight for the life you want, even when the odds are against you. Fact number 3. The movie inspired dozens of other romantic adventure films. After To Have and Have Not became successful, every studio in Hollywood wanted to make movies like it. They wanted that mix of romance and danger, adventure and love that Hawks had created. They wanted actors with that kind of chemistry. They wanted that kind of intensity. This film became a template for what audiences loved. Studio executives watched it and made notes. Producers read about it and tried to copy it. Directors studied it to understand how Hawks did it. The problem was, you can't copy magic. Other filmmakers tried to make similar movies, but they weren't nearly as good. They understood the surface, the romance, the adventure, the tropical setting, but they missed the soul. They missed the real chemistry between Bogart and Bacall. They missed the way Hawks made every moment feel real and dangerous. Some of these copycat films were okay. Some were terrible. None of them came close to the original. This is what happens when something truly original is created. Everyone tries to replicate it, but the magic doesn't transfer. The thing that made To Have and Have Not special wasn't the plot or the setting. It was the people, the moment in time, the combination of talent and courage and love that all came together at exactly the right moment. You can't manufacture that. You can only recognize it when it appears, like Hawks did, and let it be what it is. Fact number 2. The film kept getting better long after it was released. Most movies are watched intensely when they first come out, and then people forget about them. But To Have and Have Not is different. It became more beloved over time. More people watched it. More film critics praised it. More filmmakers studied it. Decades after it was made, it was still being discovered by new audiences. Young people watched it and felt the same magic that audiences felt in 1944. The romance still worked. The adventure still felt real. The chemistry between the actors still crackled. This film didn't fade away. It became a classic. It became a masterpiece. It became eternal. This is rare. Most films age. They feel dated. They feel like products of their time. But timeless films transcend their era. They speak to something universal about human nature and human emotion that never changes. Love changes. Adventure changes. The world changes. But human feelings stay the same. This film tapped into those timeless feelings. That's why it lasts. That's why people still care about it today. That's why new generations discover it and fall in love with it. The movie didn't change. The world changed. But because the film was about something eternal, it became more relevant over time, not less. Howard Hawks made something that will probably be watched and loved for as long as movies exist. Fact number 1. Lauren Bacall's eyes changed movie history. Here's something people rarely talk about. The most important thing about Lauren Bacall's performance in To Have and Have Not was her eyes. Not her voice, not her movements, not her dialogue, her eyes. Howard Hawks noticed it. Bogart noticed it. The cinematographer noticed it. The camera loved her eyes. They showed intelligence, confidence, desire, and danger all at the same time. In close-ups, her eyes did more acting than most actors do with their whole bodies. She understood this. She learned to use her eyes to communicate emotion without words. This became her signature as an actress. This became what made her special. No other actress had eyes quite like Bacall's. They had a quality that was hard to describe but easy to feel. When she looked at Bogart, audiences believed they were watching real attraction. When she looked away, audiences understood she was hiding something. Her eyes told the whole story. This film proved that sometimes the smallest things, the way you move your eyes, the way you hold a gaze, are the most powerful tools an actor has. Bacall won on film because she understood this before anyone taught her. She was a natural, and what started with those eyes became a legendary career, a great love, and a film that changed everything. Sometimes the most powerful magic is in the smallest details, in a look, in a moment, in the way someone sees you. That's what made this movie unforgettable. Bonus fact: The secret of the perfect light. Here's something the studio locked away in their archives for years. The cinematographer, the person responsible for making the film look beautiful, discovered something special while filming To Have and Have Not. He realized that Lauren Bacall looked more beautiful and more mysterious under a specific kind of light. This light came from a particular angle and had a particular color to it. So for every single scene with Bacall, the cinematographer would light her this way. It became her signature look. Nobody else on set got this special light. Just her. The cameraman understood that light was her secret weapon. Under normal light, she looked good. Under this special light, she looked magical. This was kept secret from the studio bosses because they would have complained about the extra time and money it took. But the cinematographer did it anyway because he believed in the vision. He believed that making Bacall look her absolute best was worth the extra effort. And he was right. Her face in this film is absolutely stunning. Even today, film students study the lighting in To Have and have not to understand how to light actors for maximum impact. One cinematographer's secret discovered decades later became a lesson in how to make beauty on film. Old tools, new magic. To Have and Have Not is more than just a movie from 1944. It's a story about what happens when talented people come together and believe in something bigger than themselves. It's about a young girl who had never acted before becoming a star. It's about a director who trusted his instinct when everyone else doubted him. It's about two actors who fell in love while creating art. It's about magic happening in real time, captured on film, preserved forever. This film teaches us something important. Greatness doesn't always come from perfection. It comes from bravery. It comes from people willing to take risks, willing to try something new, willing to believe in each other. Howard Hawks believed in Lauren Bacall before anyone else did. Humphrey Bogart helped Bacall become great because he wanted her to succeed. The cinematographer used secret light to make her shine. The screenwriter rewrote scenes every night to keep them fresh. Every single person involved in this film went the extra mile. And that extra mile is what you see on screen. If you enjoyed these 20 weird facts about this incredible film, please subscribe for more stories like this. Every movie hides a truth waiting to be discovered. Every film set was full of secrets and struggles and moments of unexpected magic. We'll keep uncovering them, one story at a time, because the more you know about how movies are made, the more you understand that movie magic is actually just human beings doing their best work and caring deeply about it. Thank you for joining me on this journey through cinema history. Keep watching. Keep wondering. Keep discovering.